Hi, everyone. Very good to see everyone here in Bangkok. I'm Itamar, the founder, one of the three co-founders at Argent. We're super excited to have you here for Abstract. It's the second edition of Abstract after the last year one in Istanbul. And I will first start by thanking the people at Argent who have worked so hard to organize this. We are still a relatively small company, so especially Alex and Antoine. Without them, this day wouldn't have happened, so a big thank you. And then, of course, all the sponsors, without who this wouldn't be possible, or we would be in a tent outside in the heat. So thanks again. I will not name the sponsors, because if I do it, I will forget half of them. They are all on the panel outside. A big, big, big thank you. And they are most of the time on the screen behind me. So maybe a reminder of why we are doing this, because icon abstraction is not new. It's been there for a very long time, and I see a lot of icon abstraction OG here in the room. I would say 2016, 17, it's when the first ideas around icon abstraction started. In 2018, actually, you could have a wallet without seed phrase, without gas, without ERC20 approve. In 20 seconds, that's the case of Argent, you could download an app and put $500 million in the app. That's what we had one day. Someone went from 0 to $500 million in 20 seconds. And you could be fully self-custodial and censorship resistant. At the same time, you had, for example, Bayer. I see them in the room innovating with smart contract wallet. You had, of course, Gnosis with the Gnosis Safe. So it's been there for a long time. But for some reason, something was missing, or quite a few things. And a lot has happened since. I think first the model on how we create a smart account evolved a lot. I wouldn't say it's an evolution, it's more different experiments. So you had the initial model, I'll call it the meta transaction model. You had 4337, of course. Now you have new initiative around 7702. They might all work together, but we needed to try a lot of different things. But I think the chains and the L2s also have evolved massively around how they think about icon abstraction. You have the initial model, or will have EOA and smart account. You have chains that have had EOA, but also native icon abstraction. I think we have Clave here in the room, for example, where on zkSync you could have this native icon abstraction next to EOA. You have models that use UTXO and account. I don't know if maybe Polygon Maiden would fit more or less into that, so some hybrid. You have Fuel as also a model. You have things like StarkNet, where Argent is focused on, where you have only native icon abstraction. So a lot of different approach to trying to solve that problem without fully getting someday the millions and millions of users we want to see on chain. I think what's changing, what's evolving is, I think abstract is more than icon abstraction. There are more things that were needed. If I think about Argent in the early days, we had abstracted gas. It's really easy to abstract gas. In the early days, we were paying $2,000, $3,000 a month. A year later, we paid, I think, $700,000 a month. That gets much harder, and that's why everything had to change. So I think the whole L2 innovation, of course, having Blob on mainnet was probably the biggest news of this year for us, where we finally get sub-cent transaction. Where a transaction is below a cent, then you can start thinking about hiding totally that complexity. You also need throughput. People think about throughput just for volume, but in fact, to get low fees, you need to make sure you don't have a tiny throughput and then you hit a fee market. So on chains, we have chains with hundreds of TPS. On StarkNet, we can reach now 1,000 TPS. We're at a phase where we don't have to worry about cost and we don't have to worry about throughput. And that has also contributed to this ability to really abstract much more of that complexity. Unfortunately, I think it's not over, so a lot of progress. But if you think about abstraction, you need to abstract probably the whole cross-chain, cross-rollup world. You have a lot of teams working on that. I would say you need to abstract or simplify everything around regulated activity, on-ramp, off-ramp, do I KYC 52 times with different providers, how do we abstract that? So abstract is really, beyond icon abstraction, I think it's about abstracting the entire stack, all the complexity, And our goal should be for builders to be able to focus really on solving problems for millions of people. There's no point abstracting everything if we can't create use case of real value for millions of people out there. And I want to finish with something Julien insists always at most of his talk is the reason we do that is without account abstraction, we will end up in a world of self-custody. Developers and users gravitate to simplicity. If we don't get to that level of simplicity, we will have a few centralized exchange offering a few on-chain products, and that's it. And you will have providers just saving your key somewhere on the server, and that will be the way users will experience this on-chain experience, and we will have probably failed. So super excited to have everyone here. The goal is as much to listen to what people have to say, but also to talk here, to talk outside, to exchange ideas, and to keep pushing this abstraction further. Thank you.